This is KGW News at noon.
Good afternoon, I'm Drew Carney, and our top story here at noon is the tentative agreement between rail companies and the unions representing tens of thousands of American workers. It prevents a strike that was set to begin tomorrow. That strike would have been crippling to the economy, creating massive disruptions for both passengers and supply chains. The tentative deal came after a negotiating session that lasted more than 20 hours. President Biden first announced the agreement in the overnight hours. Later, he spoke about it being a win for both sides.
Together, we reached an agreement. You reached an agreement that will keep our critical rail system working and avoid disruptions of our economy. This agreement is validation what I've always believed. Unions and management can work together for the benefit of everyone.
The president says this new deal will give rail workers better pay, improved working conditions, and peace of mind when it comes to health care. He also called it a victory for rail companies, saying they'll now be able to retain and recruit more workers. We're also following the ongoing teacher strike in Ridgefield. Today was another day of no school for students in the district. Teachers there have been on strike now since last Friday. Yesterday, Ridgefield teachers say they passed a vote of no confidence in district leaders, pointing to frustrations over the pace of negotiations so far. They're demanding more money for mental health support and special education. But the district says it's doing the best it can with budget constraints. Both sides returned to the bargaining table last hour. We'll pass along any updates in our newscasts later today, as well as throughout the day online at KGW.com. In Vancouver, the mayor accused of trying to light Mayor Ann McInerney Ogle's house on fire this week appeared in court this morning. Aiden Murray is his name. He was arrested yesterday after police say he broke into a Mexican restaurant. They connected him to the attempted arson case at the mayor's house on Monday night. The judge set his bail at $500,000. Murray made one statement in court today about trying to seek treatment, but he was told to remain silent. We talked with the mayor yesterday. She said she's glad that the suspect was found quickly.
The police have done, and the fire marshal have done a wonderful job of collecting evidence and videotaping and security and such.
Murray will be back in court later this month. Well, starting in January of 2023, landlords in Oregon will be able to hike rent up to a whopping 14.6%. KGW's Tim Gordon spoke to both sides of the issue to get their perspective.
Budget-crushing inflation is having a big impact on renters in Oregon. State economists did the math and came up with a 14.6% cap on rent increases for next year, a higher number than many expected because it's tied to inflation.
I'm shocked. Everybody should be shocked.
Kim McCarty is executive director of the statewide Community Alliance of Tenants. She says the past few years have been very tough on renters, and many pandemic-related protections are ending.
And then you pile on top of that the possibility of a $200 rent increase, a 14.6% possible increase in rent on top of the inflation that's happening to your food, your health care, child care, et cetera. Where people are at a breaking point.
We are hearing from you on this too. Hundreds of comments on the KGW Facebook page, most expressing frustration. One writing, with the increase, people are going to have to get second and third jobs just to have a roof over their heads. But some also acknowledging the landlords. One saying landlords are struggling with inflation also. Everything about homeownership is up.
14.6%, definitely, I'm sure to a lot of people sounds like, that's a big hike.
Christian Bryant is president of the Portland Area Rental Owners Association. He also teaches people the rental business. Bryant says he understands the concern, but does not believe that most landlords able to raise rents 14.6% next year will do so. That said,
the way it's set up right now is if you're a landlord, you're a business. And if your costs go up, just like at your restaurant, or the Home Depot, when they had to pay more for the materials that they sell, they charged the end user more.
This is a groundbreaking piece of legislation.
Governor Kate Brown signed Oregon's rent control bill into law in 2019, the first of its kind in the nation. It caps rent increases annually at 7% plus the Consumer Price Index measure of inflation. In light of this 14.6% cap, Brown's office put out a statement saying in part, the governor is deeply concerned about the maximum rental increases that will be allowed under Oregon law in 2023, and she urges the legislature to prioritize action to mitigate future increases, adding, with today's inflation rates, it makes sense to re-examine state law. Kim McCarty says things do need to change.
Tenants represent 40% of the households in Oregon. This is everybody's issue. And we could easily, in Oregon, have your average household priced out of the market.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
All right, let's get to some other local headlines this afternoon, starting with Portland police letting us know about a man who was killed early this morning after he was stabbed in the Elliott neighborhood of Northeast Portland. Police say the call came in around 1:30 a.m. They also say that everyone involved in this stayed at the scene. They're not looking for any suspects. Northeast Rodney is closed between Russell and Sacramento while this investigation continues. We also have an update on the sinkhole in the Pearl District. This is on Northwest Everett. PBOT says Northwest Everett between 11th and 12th will be closed for at least 2 weeks to repair sewer lines and that sinkhole that opened up earlier this week. Crews surveyed the scene there. They found the hole to be about 4 feet deep, and below the surface it's about 8 feet by 10 feet. We also have a call to action in what has been one of the more disgusting mysteries in the area over the last 4 years. So in Multnomah County, the county has put out a bulletin hoping to track down the person responsible for leaving bags of human feces all around the county. They call this person the East County Dumper. They've basically been dumping these bags mixed with cat litter along rural roads, sometimes 6 or 7 bags at a time. You saw them a moment ago. I mean, these are huge bags we're talking about. It has been disgusting people in rural Multnomah County for 4 years, going back to 2018. Over 500 bags have been seen in areas near Troutdale, Springdale, and Corbett. County code enforcement worries that there's drainage ditch issues and contaminated waterways could be impacted here. Officials say they still have no leads. And that's a look at some of our Thursday afternoon headlines. All right, Rod, from there, we're going to head it over to your weather center. What are you looking at on this Thursday afternoon?
Something more pleasant, may I say?
Yes.
All right, we have an ongoing chance of getting some thunderstorms for those of you watching us out in eastern Oregon. And look north of Burns, these are just starting to pop up, and there probably will be some lightning strikes with those. We had some action out that direction early this morning, and now it's just starting to refire up. Otherwise, the state is dry, and here on the west side, including the coast, we're starting to clear out of those morning clouds to some degree. There's Haystack Rock, our live Cannon beach camera. Folks out on the beach enjoying 60 degrees is the temperature, and all the cameras are now showing some sun. Here's Willamette Valley Vineyard just south of Salem looking out, and you can see a little murky or hazy, but generally partly cloudy. This camera vantage looking over the West Hills from our Rose City camera looks overcast, but I will tell you we do have some breaks in the cloud cover here in downtown Portland. We're at 67. We should get up to around 75 again. Not clearing, but like yesterday, we have some mid and high level clouds caught up in the main flow pattern aloft, so kind of partly sunny. A nice 75 degrees. Coming up, we'll update air quality over parts of our state and also the latest on those rain chances for the weekend coming up.